This is Talks, where people speak to people about crafting brands and the power of storytelling. Liana, thank you so much for being with us.
Pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Our pleasure. Welcome to episode 11 of Talks by the Commercial Creatives. I've been looking forward. When we crafted Talks, we talk about meaningful conversations. And I've been looking forward to this one because I know that you bring meaningful elements when you coach people, when you immerse yourself in their journey, so on and so forth. And today we're going to talk a lot about personal branding, which is becoming, I would say, probably a must for most leaders. And I'm sure you are encountered with this issue of how can I make myself better? Better sometimes not only from an aesthetic point of view, but in the being part of it. What is the definition of personal branding to you in your experience?
For me, personal branding is how people experience you. So the way you're actually sharing stories through your words, your actions, your presence, your being. It's not about self-promotion, because some people might consider that, but it's not about self-promotion. It's actually about being clear about your purpose, what's important to you, your why. And I'm very strong on that. So like during coaching sessions, we touch on that as well, because that is where it all begins. And in today's world, which has become quite digitally focused, people are linking to companies via their leaders, via their representatives, before linking to brands and logos. It's evolving. There's that transition.
Very true. Obviously, there is a debate nowadays about social media. We are in a digital-first environment. I love what you said about the why. I like to call it the equal sign between the personal branding part and you becoming the vehicle, the face of your brand. How important is it that the two are aligned? Because obviously, some could be conflicting, right? I mean, you can have your own personal ethos that you are bringing to the company, but then you might have a board direction, a strategic alignment, which might differ. How important is it for these two to be aligned and to create a bit of a balance between the two? Because you cannot take the personality out of someone, can you?
No. In fact, alignment is critical. So they can't be like two separate identities. Yes, it's important to have your own personal values, but it's important to ask yourself as well, are those personal values aligned with the corporate values? So leaders carry their company everywhere they go. So their behaviors, their communication style as well. It shapes how the company is perceived. So I often encourage leaders to consider their personal brand as a lens through which the company can be perceived. As you mentioned, like it's a vehicle, it's a vessel. So the personal brand becomes an extension to the corporate brand. But by bringing your own personality, it adds, so that personality can add depth to the company value, to the company brand. And when you humanize it, when you personalize it, people can actually feel, not just see, feel the business through your eyes. So if there isn't that alignment, then it can become conflicting. It can create confusion in the messaging, but even conflicting internally as well.
Have you seen these struggles between leaders that want to go in one direction, are made to go through a separate direction, and they have this element of conflict?
Yes, sometimes when business strategy changes it becomes opposite to what you've been working towards, let's say, you stop feeling that connection. So forcing it then can potentially become also, it feels manufactured. So then that is where the person needs to stop and reflect, ask herself or himself, is this where I want to go? Does it conflict to my values? It's about the values. So yes, of course, one's vision can differ from the company's vision, but it could potentially create more opportunity. But then if it is conflicting against the values, then there's a different story. Am I still being fulfilled? Am I being challenged in a way where I'm too stretched against who I really am? And sometimes those questions come not only within a particular company. Imagine they do decide to change their career path, to change their role, let's say. At that point, if they had to shift into, for example, searching for a new company, so at interview stage, does this company align with my values? So even from the very beginning, do I really want to follow through with this company? Does it match me, my being? Because if not, sooner or later, there's going to be that internal conflict.
I think it's the element of, correct me if I'm wrong, the element of authenticity, right? What I love to call actually personal brand authenticity. I was just sharing with you, this weekend I was watching Being Gordon Ramsay, this chef that created this empire of restaurants, well over 70 restaurants across the globe. And one of the things that I really enjoyed, whether you agree with him or not, is the element of remaining very authentic to his values.
Yeah.
So remaining very strict to the elements of quality, to the elements of pushing towards the ultimate goal, so on and so forth. But one of the things that he mentioned, which leads me to my next question, is his persona. And rightly so, you said this is not showing off, but this is the why. There's a lot of pressure on leaders nowadays, right, to show up online.
Yeah.
To paint this picture perfect LinkedIn type of moments, and how much they conflict with the authenticity of a person, of his or hers one being, with this pressure of being online. When the guy next door in the corporate office next door has an immaculate LinkedIn presence and you don't. How much does it conflict? What's the pressure?
What I would say is don't show up if you feel forced, if you feel pressured to show up.
I love that one. It's not real.
It's not real otherwise, no. So like bringing in that thoughtful approach to visibility is essential. If you feel that you have something meaningful to share, then yes, share it. And something meaningful doesn't have to be something big, something wow, it can be something minimal. People can associate themselves through those minimal ones as well, minimal stories. So sometimes it could be about sharing insights, sharing, I don't know, you said you just followed a Gordon Ramsay show, but it could be an article that you've read and you want to share your takeaways from that article. Sharing your success stories, speaking from experience. And when you're sharing these, people can learn from those experiences, especially if you extract those learning outcomes. But don't just stop at the success stories. I'm sure even Gordon would have shared his challenges through this show.
Absolutely.
Sharing setbacks is just as important. As leaders, we always come across setbacks, diversions to our plans, difficult conversations. And people can learn through those sharing of experiences as well. It's you mentioned the perfect life, right? So people don't connect with perfection per se. They connect with the growth aspect, so whether it's through a success story or not, because they're learning with you, and they connect with that authentic, the authentic story. And sometimes, yes, because you said, like, even the person next door might have an exceptional following. And therefore, you feel that you need to share regularly to start increasing that
almost like
following.
corporate peer pressure, right?
Yes, yes. But again, it's not about frequency, posting regularly. It's about posting with a consistent message. Now, whether that is once a week, once every 2 weeks, but whenever your message is consistent to your roots, right? And that is why it's important to consider that why. Then people can associate to that as well, and they can connect to it, and they would feel it as a credible point, kind of. So credibility as such is built through the real journey of people. The good, the bad, and potentially some ugly as well.
I love the last, so that this will be the first take-home point that I'll take with me from this meaningful conversation, the credibility of the conversation, but also through the power of failure, the power of your journey.
Yeah.
Again, if I take you back to what I watched this weekend, Gordon Ramsay was actually talking about how he feels pain that his father is not dining at the restaurant, that he didn't believe in him as much as his mother did in his entrepreneurial journey. Should personal branding also expose one's weaknesses, particularly when speaking in terms of internal human capital?
Yes. Again, weaknesses can also be, let's say, gaps that people can associate. Rather than calling them weaknesses, I enjoy calling them gaps, and then
like that.
narrowing down those gaps. It's turning them into opportunities, really, into upskilling, but sharing that vulnerability. And then Brené Brown, for example, is very strong on vulnerability.
Absolutely.
As leaders, showing our vulnerability with our employees, with our network as well, taking it even wider. That can connect even more because once again, it doesn't feel forced. It doesn't feel, you're living that perfect persona.
From your experience, obviously you deal with a lot of people who come to you confidentially and share their experiences. What are the common mistakes that leaders do when they want to invest in their personal brand? Is it way too much in a very short time? Is it non-purpose? Is it just all-in approach and then we'll see what sticks? What are the common mistakes that you've seen from?
A mix of those. So yes, definitely I would say people not being self-aware. Because if you don't know what's important to you, what you care about, and then just sharing opinions, the messages can feel off, can feel a little scattered. Then, similarly, not recognizing that your personal brand out there will have a ripple effect on the company, on the team. So once again, if the messages are conflicting, you are not truly representing that. It will show in your day-to-day as well. There is misalignment there. Another is something that you've mentioned, yes. So, posting a lot. And therefore thinking that visibility equals influence, and that's not the case. So visibility can build trust, but only if done right, kind of, done truthfully, done authentically. One other is sharing the highlight reels. Constantly sharing only success stories. It's good to share those. But the failures, the learning from those, the fact that you're trying, because at the end of the day, failure is part of the success journey. So sharing those are potentially even more powerful stories that need to be shared. And finally, I would say the networking aspect, because you're carrying your brand. It's true we're talking about the online aspect, but you're also carrying the brand offline. And networking is about connection. So not necessarily at networking events, but networking with clients, connecting with employees. So networking isn't then just about a transactional activity collecting contacts.
Like business card issuing.
Yes,
Correct.
yeah. So it's about having those meaningful conversations, our starting point of today. Those meaningful conversations can be sharing perspective, sharing opinions, even if they might differ from your own, but you're learning about other people's opinions, you're learning about what's happening out there and bringing in, this could be something that could be considered perhaps. So there are opportunities for learning as well. So people tend to forget about that aspect of personal brand at times.
One of the things that you mentioned quite a lot this morning is the element of internal culture. That the personal brand also has an effect on the internal culture. We at Consultancy move away from calling it HR, but actually call it culture, because I feel it's such a beautiful word and it's much more encapsulating rather than being very functional. Do we overlook that sometimes? Do we just feel that, again, if I look at our offline, online, we are looking at how many contacts I have in my phone book, but forgetting the people at home?
That's where it all begins, really, because when you're showing up with your own personal values, but also then embracing the company values, they're living through you. You're emphasizing that culture. It becomes a reality, kind of. So in the way you show up, whether it's in the way you lead, in meetings internally, but yes, of course, even with colleagues perhaps and peers, with clients. All of that, like you're showing up, representing your own personal values, but also the company values, and you're strengthening the company values. So when we talk about, empowerment, values like resilience, teamwork, then those values stop being just, big words on a wall. They start feeling human. And you become an extension of those personal and corporate values. You're living them at the end of the day, and people can actually see that through you, people at work. So, and can potentially, again, you're creating that ripple effect. So you're having that positive effect onto others, and they will also embrace that, take that on board as well in their own way. It's like cascading. I love saying like the waterfall effect. It's something that seeps through everyone then.
Yeah, a final question from my side in terms of advice that you give to the people that come to you for coaching. In one sentence, the take-home points of people to remain real and authentic. What should that be?
Start with clarity around your strengths, values, purpose, self-awareness, really. You need to ask these reflective questions. What do I care about? What strengths do I naturally bring in? What impact do I want to leave? And how do I want to be remembered, that legacy?
I like impact and legacy. Those will be my two take-home points from this one. Liana, thank you so much.
You're very, very welcome.
For being with us. Thank you for taking the time to share your experience. Obviously, that people who trust you with their personal journeys. I know the value you bring to these people. And we commend the work of people like you, because you're adding true value to leaders. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for inviting me. Yes, and if I may add, it's something that I say I have more than one hat, right? So there's the coaching aspect, there's the HR, and even bringing that, like I always, like you mentioned, the culture element. So the people consultancy through our day-to-day as well as with clients. I feel that it's rewarding to be able to share this experience with you guys, but it's something that it needs to be, it carry forward, let's say, pay it forward.
Thank you for the energy you brought to the room.
Pleasure. I hope it was an authentic one.
It was. Thank you.
Cheers.